Welcome to the Dickson Sports Report. My name is Justin Spurlock. I'm your host, and I want to thank each and every one of you for tuning in to our brand new show. This is called the Dickson Sports Report, and it's produced by Main Street Media and the Dickson Post. And the whole goal of this show is to get you more connected to local sports in your area. We'll be providing you with scores to games, interviews with coaches and players, and we'll also get you up to date on all of the events that you need to know about coming up. Today, we've got a great show lined up for you. Today, we're going to talk to the Dickson County high school bowling team, their coach. We've got a few seniors, and then we've got a young lady that did something really special, and we're going to talk to all of them today. But before we get to our guest, I want to tell you a little bit about some scores from this past week. On Monday night, Dickson County High School played some basketball against Henry County. And if you've been around the area for a long time like I have, you know how intense the rivalry with Henry County can be. And had a couple of great games. Unfortunately, the girls lost on Monday night by a score of 61-19. But the boys came through and got the victory on Monday night against the rival Henry County by a final score of 57-55. So great job, Cougars. And I've got some great guests today. I'm really excited about today's show. We've got some bowlers from Dickson County High School that are here. They're going to talk to us a little bit about their season. So we've got the coach, we've got a couple seniors, and then we've got somebody who did something really special. We're going to talk about that at the end. So first off, Coach, it's good to have you in the studio here today. How are you doing?
Thank you for having us. I'm doing well.
It's good to see you. So let's start. I want to talk to you a little bit about yourself. So you're the one who's leading this bowling program, and it's been pretty successful so far, and I was just kind of curious, how'd you get into that? I coach soccer, and I've got a story about how I kind of learned how to play soccer and how I got into it. I was just curious, kind of, when did you get into bowling at a young age, and kind of take me through your road to becoming the bowling coach over at Dickson High School.
So it really wasn't that young of an age. I think it was about 18 or 19. I was getting out of baseball at the time when I started bowling, and I kind of got decent quick. So just kind of took it up. I think I had my first perfect game within the first couple of years of bowling, which, that's kind of a weird thing. It usually didn't happen, and I took off with it from there. So absolutely loved it from that point.
It's fun. I mean, yeah. I love to bowl. I've never been that great at it, but it's always really been a lot of fun. Talk to me a little bit about your team's season. You guys have you've had a lot of success this year and also in years past. And this is my opinion. I'm just going to say it. I feel like the bowling team has really become one of our most successful sports programs on campus. I think that's sort of undeniable. Talk to me a little bit about the success that you've seen the last few years and then this year specifically.
Yeah. So when I took it over, we hadn't really even made it out of the district yet. And then not anything against those teams beforehand, but they just were a part of a tough district. And my oldest son, Dustin Maloney, graduated in 2020. He was a state finalist, so he was the first state finalist in Dickson County and all of Dickson County. And I think that kind of spurred a little bit more interest in the sport around when they realized, wow, you're just not going out there as a club, just bowling a few games. There's something, beyond the season. And then, there was a pretty good void when his class left in 2020 that Alex and Jackson and them stepped into the next year and kind of filled that void. And they come in super competitive. That was the first year we made it out of the district, and this just been skyrocketing ever since. The ladies, a couple of years later, we ended up getting Emily's group in, and I finally talked Kenzie into coming in. She was supposed to come in the year before. She decided to wait an extra year, but her and Emily started at the same time, and we've been in the state tournament both years they've been a part of it. So, that's
talk to me a little bit about taking the program from being something that, obviously is fun. It's a game. It's almost like a club, but it's really become more serious, not just at our school, but all over the state, all over the country. Bowling has really become, a serious sport. How did you sort of evolve the program to become more competitive?
I think it's just a level of expectation that me and Jeremy my assistant coach brings. Like, we just have an expectation that we're not the stepchild of the county, or that we are actually good enough. We try and instill that belief, and we create that culture around the team that you guys are more than capable. And then they show up. Like, that's the thing. Like, we don't have to ask them to go to the bowling alley. Like, they're always there. So even during practice or when we're not practicing, they're there working. So, and not just working as a job, like they're working on their game. So it makes our job a little bit easier when it comes to coaching them because they want it. But I think that's just attributed to the way Jeremy and I, we raised that expectation early on. So,
well, and Dickson County really, we're lucky to have 2 bowling alleys right here in town.
Yes.
And, we're blessed. Not every community has that.
Absolutely.
But it's not just Dickson County High School. Creekwood's seen some success too. What is it about Dickson County that is bringing the best out of these bowlers? Is there something in the water? I can't quite figure it out.
Right.
Why are we so good at bowling around here?
Right. Well, I think it's a different type of athlete as well. You get some athletes who are introduced to the sport late, and they come in with a set of skills that are already there. And then you can just build on those foundational skills that are just already there. And then, you can't teach competitiveness or anything, but you can kind of, again, put it in their heads that you can do this and make them believe. And I think that's really what has happened, across both. Creekwood had a lot of success early on, especially with their girls program. And I think that just kind of, made us want it even more. If they can do it, we can do it, so.
Absolutely. Well, Coach, again, thank you so much for coming by. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, I understand you brought a few of your seniors today, so we're going to talk to them. But let's first hear a word from our sponsors. We'll be right back here on the Dickson Sports Report. And we're back here on the Dickson Sports Report. Appreciate everybody tuning in today. We're focusing this episode on the Dickson County bowling team. And we're lucky today to have 3 seniors here with us in the studio. I'm going to let y'all introduce yourselves. Go ahead and start here on this end. Tell us your name. Name, grade, and how many years you've been on the bowling team at Dickson County.
My name's Nathan Wilkes. I'm a senior, and I've been on the bowling team for 3 years.
My name's Alex Singleton. I've been on the bowling team for 4 years.
I'm Kenzie Ellison. I'm a senior this year, and I've been on the bowling team for 2 years.
Awesome. Well, hey, thanks for coming in, y'all. I appreciate it. I wanted to ask you a few questions, if you don't mind. I've just been really fascinated with the bowling team and all the success that you all have had. First off, I want to know, okay, because honestly, when I was growing up, I went to Dickson County High School as well, and back then, we didn't really have as many sports opportunities as you all do today. And so this opportunity wasn't really available to me, but I'm really glad that it is for y'all. The first question I want to ask you is, how did you get into bowling? Like, at what age did you pick up the ball and bowl for the first time? How were you introduced to the sport? And I guess we'll go same order and tell us just kind of how you got into that.
Well, so really for me, growing up, my papa would always come over. He lived in Dickson. I lived in Rutherford County. He would come over, and as a thing that we would do together, we would go to the bowling alley, and we'd bowl. It wasn't nothing serious. It was just something we did for fun. Then over time, the more I did it, he used to bowl a lot, and the more he did, the more he taught me, the more I liked it. I joined a couple leagues around there. By the time I got my first ball, I was in love. Dad told me if I could carry 150 average, he'd let me do a tournament. After my first tournament, I did horrible. But the fact that I lost, and it was something that I wasn't good at, made me want to be even better at it. And that sparked in middle school with the bowling team that we had at Rock Springs. And then I bowled a little bit at Laverne High School. But when we moved and we came to Dickson, my sophomore year, I couldn't join the team the end of my freshman year. But at the beginning of my sophomore year, I jumped on, and the guys then were really cool. And that took some adjusting because I didn't know everybody was new. But then as the time went on, junior year, we stepped up, and a lot of the seniors that us two that you've met today, we took a pretty high role in the team then when it comes to a leadership status in the team. And we became really close with all the guys. And that junior season, so the last season, is when I realized how much I enjoy the high school team part of it. And so then it correlated over to this year whenever it was just me, him, and one of our third senior, Jackson. We were the only 3 guys we were really super familiar with. The rest of our guys are young. But just watching everybody grow and get good at it while improving in yourself, it shows the growth that you are capable of. And then watching the people that you're friends with, that have, some of us have become almost brothers in a sense. And then while all together having the coaching staff like Joey and Jeremy that are there with you the entire time, whether it's a personal issue outside of the bowling alley or if it's a bowling question. If I'm having a problem, I can call Joey just like that, and he answers the phone, and he's there. We've had some guys that are in some trouble, let's say on the road, the car breaks down, you can call Joey and he'll help you out. And I've never had that with any other coaches. And so the personableness of the bowling team is also something outside of bowling itself that was super inviting.
Awesome. Yeah, it sounds like y'all are like a family unit, and that's really, I think that's what you have to do to really build a great program and a great team, at least from my experience with playing sports and coaching it as well. That's great to hear that. Same question. Let me go over here too. So talk to me a little bit about how you got into bowling. What age were you when you first bowled? What sort of got you into the sport?
So I was about 14, and it was right as COVID hit before freshman year. And every place was closed down, and the only place that was stayed open was the bowling alley. And so with nothing else to do and being that young, you're like, you need to find something to do. And I was bowling with house balls for a couple months. Then the actual pro shop, they were running some deal where you got a bag, a ball, and some shoes. So I bought a ball and the bag and the shoes. And like Nate said, once you buy your first bowling ball, it's downhill from there. You're going to go and it's a lot of fun though, but that's how I got started.
Let me ask you one follow-up question. How'd you get to the point where you wanted to be on the bowling team in high school?
So I'm good friends with our assistant coach, Jeremy, and we found out they had a bowling team, and then my dad knows Joey, so it was kind of just like he knew us, and so I had played football a couple years beforehand, and it was just all right, and bowling was just like a true passion. And I had some pretty high scores, including a perfect game, and it's like once you shoot the first one, it's a drive to just keep going.
Absolutely. I think it's probably one of those things where you find a little bit of success at it and you get addicted to it. It's like, that was so much fun, I want to keep doing that. All right, let me ask you the same question, which is basically, how'd you get into bowling? At what age did you first bowl? And at what point did you know that this is something I really like to do and I'd like to be on the high school team?
So my dad, growing up, he always did leagues, and he was bowling ever since he was little. He would always take me and my sister to the bowling alley and get us into bowling and stuff. It wasn't until I was 15, I'd say, I joined the youth bowling leagues with Joey here at the bowling alley, and I bowled on the youth league for about 2 years. And then after that, I was really interested in wanting to bowl for a team and be part of something bigger. My dad actually became one of the coaches this year, and I fell in love with it from there. I bought my first ball, and ever since that I've been buying more, and being a part of something bigger than just people you hang out with, it feels good to inspire people and to know that you're also leaving an impact on younger people as well to get into something like that. And I know that I've also impacted a lot of people. Like my younger sister, she didn't bowl at all, and she watched me grow up doing it, and she fell in love with it. That's how I got into it.
That's awesome. That it can sometimes be a family thing, or a friend can introduce you. It really doesn't matter how you get introduced to it. I think the important thing is that you find something that you like, and you kind of move forward with it. That's really cool to hear. And I really think that you guys are building something here that I think will last for a long time. And I think you're right when you say that the younger people are inspired, because I do think they look up and they say, hey, look, Dickson County competes in bowling. Like, they're good. Like, if I join that team, I can be good too. I've seen that myself with some of the younger people, and I really like where everything's going. Let's start back over here. I want to ask you about your favorite moment during your bowling career. You've done it a while now, and unfortunately, since you're seniors, it is coming to an end. And I hate that, but when you're kind of looking back and thinking about the past, what's one of your favorite moments?
It's really hard to identify one moment in particular that's my favorite. I'd say the best two things that have made me felt the most accomplished was my first time, well, it would have been my second time bowling the qualifying event for the state tournament last year in Hendersonville. I didn't start out great. It was an all right day. I was averaging about 190. And then I shot a 220 game, which was okay for the tournament. And then Joey walked up to me. He was like, I know you've been talking about how you want to make it to state. You're going to have to do something a little bit more if you want to really make that cut. And Jeremy came over and pretty much said the same thing, but Joey stayed there right behind me. And I shot a 267 at the qualifying event and solidified myself as the 16th bowler in the state at that moment. And that made me feel really good. And then this year, they had cut it down to only 6 spots to qualify. And it was the same amount of kids, roughly, maybe 20 person difference. And at this point, me and my teammate Jackson Parker, we had made it to the state. It would have been my second appearance and his first. Although we didn't do what we wanted to do at the actual state tournament itself, but doing something like that and then repeating it, and something that's bowling that you do so often, you have moments where like you're not doing the best, but if the next game starts a brand new game. So just having those successes that remind you, hey, I know what I'm doing here, those are things that you'll never forget, just because the experience was something that impacted you a lot.
Absolutely. Yeah, definitely. It's a challenge, right? And
Yes,
it's fun to actually succeed in that challenge and trying to get better and all those things. Well, let me ask you the same question. When you're thinking back to your bowling career over the past few years, what's a moment that kind of stands out?
Just like he said, there's not just like one moment once you get so far into it. There's multiple accomplishments. But I have two favorites. The first one being is my perfect game. That was just something special. And then number two was my sophomore year when we placed third in state. I'll never forget that moment and that team. That team was a brotherhood more than a team. We all worked together to get there, and it's just a blast having to get there. And then we were all there for each other when we didn't win it all, and it was fun.
I think there's something special about being on a team. When you're doing something solo and you have a success, it's great, but to be on a team and really feel success with your brothers and your sisters and with a group that's kind of like a family, it can be really, really special. What about you? What's one special moment when you think back to your career in bowling that kind of stands out?
So I'm gonna have to say last year I was one of the girls that made it to state, and although I didn't do exactly how I wanted to do, I'm going to say that was still a pretty big accomplishment for me, considering I was only a junior and it was my first year on the team. That was a pretty big one. The other one is I didn't make it to state this year because, like Nate said, they had the cut pretty big this year. But I'm going to say we had a tournament a couple months ago, and I was able to shoot my highest score of a 266 for the first time. So that was a big one for me. And then I'd also have to say the end of this season, when we all went to state, I think that was one of the most memorable accomplishments. Making it to state as a team, not just individually for yourself, but doing it together, pulling it off together as a team throughout the whole season. That was something memorable for me, because even though we didn't do as good as we wanted, we gave it our all, and we fought for it, and we pulled it off, and we did it together. So
that's really a lot of fun hearing you all talk about your favorite moments, because high school sports is special. It's something that you're always going to be able to look back on. Here's the last question I've got for y'all. Remember, you're student athletes, and people out there who are watching, I know they want to know about your athletic career, and we've covered that quite a bit. But one last question, just dealing with school. Do y'all have a favorite subject, or maybe a favorite teacher, or something that you really like over at the high school?
My favorite class this year is probably my second period vet science class, Miss Lusk. My class is just fun, and then you get to do something that's an area of interest. So it's a fun class.
I got two favorite classes this year. U.S. history with Miss Howington, and accounting with Miss Peters.
I'd probably have to say, well, two exactly. One is my psychology class with Miss Donna Bryant. I had her my freshman year, and I just absolutely loved her. And my second one, I'd have to say our fourth period. We all have the same fourth period, and we all just cut up, and it's a fun time in there. So
that's awesome. That's always good when you have a class where you can kind of, school is a serious thing, but it's cool when you have a class where you can kind of hang out and have some fun together and stuff like that. So that's really cool. I appreciate y'all all coming in today and being a part of the show today. And I just want to congratulate you on all your success on the bowling team this year. Let's go ahead and take another break. We'll hear a word from our sponsors, and when we come back, I want to talk to somebody who did something really special last week. You may have heard about it. One of the bowlers bowled a perfect game in the state tournament. We're going to talk to her about that here in a few minutes. We'll be right back here on the Dickson Sports Report.
It was just a few drinks. I'm good.
I thought it was good.
After every game, we always have a few. It's no big deal. It was no big deal.
Hey, I can hold my liquor. I thought I could hold my liquor.
We're back here on the Dickson Sports Report, last segment, and as promised, we got a very special guest here at the end. You may have heard the bowling team was at the state championships last week, and we got news from, I believe it was in Smyrna. Yes. And we got news out of Smyrna that one of our bowlers over at Dickson County High School had done something that nobody had ever done, and that's bowl a perfect game in the state tournament. And so I was just really excited to hear about that. Miss Emily Fuller's here. How you doing, Emily?
I'm doing pretty good. Very nervous, but doing pretty good.
I understand. Don't be nervous. Don't be nervous. Just your old teacher talking to you right now, okay? So you did something last week that very few have done. First off, how does it feel to bowl a perfect game? I don't even know if I've ever bowled like anywhere near a perfect game. I'm just a casual bowler. How did it feel to accomplish that?
Well, definitely right now, I do not think when I think back about it, I don't think I even did it. But at that moment, I was like really pumped up. But I still, whenever thinking back at it, I really don't think I did it, but
It's one of those things kind of hard to believe that I actually accomplished that, but it is something that you did, and it was very special. Were you nervous? Well, there was a lot of people, or it seemed like a lot of stress. I played baseball, and I remember having a no-hitter going one time, and it was the most stressful thing in the world. It's like that trying to keep the perfection going. Was it nerve-wracking? Were you nervous? How'd you feel?
Believe it or not, during the match, I really was like really calm. I wasn't like talking to anybody except for my good friend Samara, because she's the only person that can hype me up. But I was really like quiet and stuff. I didn't really have any faith that I was gonna keep going, because I had a 279 before that. I spared on the 9th frame. I was like, okay, I have bad luck. It's gonna happen again. But then I really started noticing like, oh my goodness, I really have a shot at it. During like the 9th frame, after I got that strike, I was like, I got something going right here. But I was still really calm, didn't talk to anybody. Just basically, that's it.
That's pretty cool. I don't know. I'd probably be so nervous, Coach. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know if I could handle that much pressure. What were you thinking as you're watching one of your bowlers do something outstanding? You don't want to mess it up. I'm sure you're probably afraid to talk to her.
Yeah, I'm super serious. In fact, I didn't touch her that entire. So everybody's giving her fives. Like she'd throw strikes, she'd come off, and everybody would high five her. And I realized at about the 6th frame, one, she was throwing the ball great, and I think me and Jeremy at that point kind of looked at each other like this could happen, because she was throwing a great ball. The lanes were really set up for her shot. But I'd also realized about the 6th frame that I hadn't given her 5 the entire time. So at that point, there was no touching Emily Fuller. Like there was no, she was like high-fiving over my shoulder to people that were standing behind me, and my hands were in my pocket. Like, I'm not screwing this up, because if I do that and she doesn't strike, I'll never forgive myself. So I did, but I was the first one to meet her on the lanes. As soon as she threw it, I was the first one to meet her on the lanes.
Let me ask you this, Emily. What was it like when you get down to the last one and you're like, okay, if I nail this shot, I'm going to have a perfect game? Was that the most nervous, or were you cool? How are you feeling when you go to that last one?
Right, I was getting ready up, about to throw my ball. I'm thinking to myself, probably the calmest I've been all day. I already had the feeling that I was going to throw this strike. I was going to get this 300, first time ever. And basically, right before I threw that, I'm like, I wasn't thinking of anything at the time. I was just really calm, already thinking that I was already going to get it. And then right as I throw the ball, it's just the anticipation, watching everybody, just watching the ball and just dead silence. Like the stands were really loud before I threw the ball, but right as I threw it, dead silence. And then right as I hit it, the first voice I heard was Nate's. Absolutely hyped me up. Heard Nate and Alex the whole time. Definitely a motivation booster.
Did y'all have a pretty big celebration afterwards?
My family, after high-fived everybody, everybody gave me compliments. My family decided to take me out to a Asian restaurant and stuff. It was about like hour away in Clarksville or something. We hit a pothole, and the car, I was in 2 separate cars. My family was in one car, my mom, my dad, and one of my sisters. And then I was in the other car with Ava, my girlfriend, and my other sister. We see a big pothole. The car in front of us with my other family in it completely popped one of their tires, like completely. We pulled over, looked at the cars, and our car, the car I was in, was totally fine. And then we saw their car, it was like completely jacked up, the rim completely bent. And Joby was like calling me, and he's like, is this a good time to call you? Because it was about like my ring, some information. I'm like, yeah, all good, just went on to dinner. Popped a tire. It was all good. And he's like, oh, no, do you guys need anything? I'm like, no, I think we're pretty good. We had a donut in the back. So, and he's like, well, just let me know. Definitely the first coach that I would come to if I needed anything. He's always there. Definitely not too stuck up about things like practice. Definitely like if I don't need to show up, if there's a time or place that I have to be somewhere. Other than that, he's totally cool with that. But definitely like got the donut changed. I was the one who had to change it. I was like, I'm
so
trying to
many
celebrate.
talents.
Yeah, I was trying to celebrate. I was trying to celebrate. And my dad's like, I'm too old. You got to get down there and fix it.
You got to help us old folks out sometimes.
Yeah, definitely. And it was actually really fast. There's probably like 20 minutes, and we still made it in time.
It's funny how like sometimes something really good happens, and then it's like the other spectrum of the world comes back to you, and it's like, well, now something bad has to happen, right? So, Coach, let me ask you one more question about it. So, I know you're nervous. You're watching this all go down. You're scared to mess with her. But when it actually the last one goes through, what were you feeling?
Oh man, knowing the feeling, knowing the feeling of it, and knowing what she could be feeling because it's the first one and stuff. Like just super pumped. Like just and knowing that when she was up there for the last shot, everybody around us kind of quit doing what they were doing, and they were just all eyes on her, and it was just so awesome. Like,
what was it the feeling like in there? Because you got this special thing going on in this lane. Did everybody in the place know what was going on? Were they kind of watching too?
In the vicinity, they kind of realized. I think the team, especially to our right, we were bowling next to Hardin County, the eventual state champions, and they kind of saw it happening. They've got a couple of girls on there that's done it, in other times during the season, but they kind of realized what was happening, so they were watching. A lot of people had made their way that were parents and fans had kind of walked down behind the lanes when they got word that it was going on. So it was pretty cool. Like it was nice.
And I'd been texting with you back and forth. I wanted to have you on the show, and I'm also just interested in, hey, how are we doing at the bowling tournament? Right. And at one point you texted me and you said that, hey, look, this might be the first time this has ever happened.
Yeah.
I guess you got the confirmation, huh?
Yeah, that was one of the first things. Like as soon as all that kind of, we kind of calmed down a little bit, Jeremy looked at me and said, man, I don't know if that's ever been done on the female side of things. And so we started asking the people that we knew and, talking to some people. And we got like the rundown. I think she was like the 10th bowler overall that's ever done it at the state tournament. Wow. But she was the first female to ever do it at the state tournament. So it was a pretty good feat. And, all of the talent that's ever bowled in the state tournament with Hardin County and Creekwood and Bartlett, and they've always had these really talented just beasts of bowlers. And Dickson come out with the first one. It's really surprising that we found out that she was the first female to ever do it.
Yeah,
and it was crazy. That can never be taken away. State record.
That's cool. Yeah, Emily, how you feel about that? Like you're the first one to ever do it. How does that feel?
Right as I did it, I had no idea that that could even accomplish that. Until probably an hour or two later, I got word that I was the first one to ever do that, and I was like, whoa, I'm doing something. I really made history or something. But now that I'm thinking about it, it's probably one of the best moments I've ever had with bowling. Probably
cool.
one of the most happiest moments I've had in a long time.
It's definitely something to be proud of. I was so proud of you. When I heard that somebody did it, I was like, great. And then when you told me it was Emily, I was like, whoa, that's amazing. Yeah. I was just so happy for you and just so proud of you. As somebody I've known for a while, just to see you do something really special like that is just really cool to see. And Coach, thank you so much for coming on the show today.
Thank you for having us.
Appreciate you doing this, and congratulations on all your success. And
thank you.
I guess it's not going to stop anytime soon. You guys are going to just keep it going.
Not at all. We got some these most of these girls are coming back next year, so we're going to be pretty strong again. And it didn't take long for our guys to get back on their feet, and so I think we're going to be something to be reckoned with over the next few years.
Awesome. Well, thank you all for coming in. I appreciate it so much. All right, just a few more things before we close out here. Last weekend over at Dickson County High School, there were 2 new members inducted into the Educators Hall of Fame, Randy Sullivan and Wade Daniel. We want to say congratulations to those guys on a well-deserved recognition. It was great to see those guys again on Saturday night, and wonderful that we are still inducting people into our Educators Hall of Fame. That means we've got a lot of great teachers here in Dickson County. We appreciate those men for the things that they've done over the years here for our county and for our students. We want to let you know about another event coming up this weekend at Dickson County High School. It's coming home. It will be this Saturday. I believe Kenwood is coming to town, and we're going to have some great celebrations. Coming Home is the basketball version of homecoming, so we're excited about that. There will be a homecoming court. It'll be a lot of fun, so if you don't have plans, make sure that you come out on Saturday to Dickson County High School for their coming home. And make sure that you tune in back with us next week. We'll be here every Thursday to get you up to date on Dickson sports. We'll be back next Thursday with another episode. I've talked to a few people. I'm not sure exactly who's going to come in yet, but I promise you're going to enjoy it. And see you guys next week.